Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Haroldo Teixeira. I'm a data architecture consultant at Petrobras, and I'm here today to share with you a bit of our IT/OT convergence initiative. I'm going to share this presentation with Flavio, a partner from EY Brazil, that helped us to build all these projects, and what we are going to see today. Brief of a Petrobras info for those who doesn't know who we are. Our objectives, the solution that we provided, and the value that we delivered. The approach that we use and the results. Then I call Flavio to explain a bit about the UI IT OT operating model that we used, the conceptual architecture that we are proposing, and also the next steps that we have ahead. Well, first of all, a bit about Petrobras. We are a Brazilian company. Our headquarters is in Rio de Janeiro. We have about 17 years, and we are a government-controlled company. So the Brazilian government is the main stakeholder of Petrobras and has a control of the company. We have three main lines of business, but this concept is every day growing. Basically, we working in the entire oil and gas chain, but we are also working a lot with renewable energies also. Some figures, unfortunately, they are 2023, 2024 numbers are going to appear on the next weeks. But I would like to highlight some of them. We are about $100 billion revenue company. Also, we have planned investments on the order of another $100 billion. And we have about 40,000 employees. And keep this number because I'm going to talk about that in a brief moment. And finally, we have our operations, several plants, from production rigs to refineries to thermoelectric plants to renewables plants. So we have a very high diversity of operations on our company. And when we are talking about OT/IT convergence, this makes things a bit more fun, a bit more points to consider. So what's the challenge of Petrobras when we're talking about OT, IT, AI? The first point, and as I think you all seen during the sessions of this conference, is that everyone wants AI. Everyone wants some solution to optimize, to control, to give new insights, because they want, and also is the topic that everyone is talking about. But AI, as we see before here, is not so deterministic. Sometimes it fails. And we have two different realities. When we are talking about the corporate side of the business, failures in the corporate world usually impacts things like revenue and profit of the company, image and brand, company and share values. We have wrong predictions of prices, we have wrong predictions of cash flow, things like that. But when we go to the industrial area, when we go to the plant world, we have the same problems that we can have in the corporate world, but we start to threat human lives. We have security issues. We have problems with our asset integrity. We have problems in our production. So we have more things to consider. We need to be more responsible when we deploy an AI solution in this context. When we are in the corporate world, usually people talks about things like cost reduction, innovation, agility, and when we go to the industrial world, usually we talk about security, we talk about operational continuity, we talk about efficiency. And I think that here lies the basis of all the work of convergence that we are talking about and all the way that we must govern AI in the industrial world. Because usually on the left side, we have the IT guys. They are very cost-driven. They are always seeking innovation. They are always seeking agility to deliver more. And when we talk on the right side, we always see the industrial guys, always concerned of the security of the facilities, of always consider operational continuity, always think 100 times before deploying something in production to ensure that we don't stop production. And that's why it's important to converge both these visions so we can cooperate and build responsible AI. Considering the Petrobras strategy to deal with that, we have some points that are important for us. First of all, Petrobras is making a huge movement to be a data-driven company. We have a huge program inside our company called Data Democratization Program that aims to make every employee a potential data analyst. So it's a very ambitious target, but we are really investing a lot in education, in culture, in literacy to make everyone able to build a dashboard, to analyze data, to understand the meaning of data. We need to bring IT and OT data to this world. We are an industrial company, so if we talk only about IT data, we are missing a very huge part of our business. And finally, we need people to take decisions based on data. And this is a huge challenge because we have very experienced people that usually think, no, I know a lot about this subject, I don't need further data to decide, but we need to give data to these people. They need to use that to take decisions. So we brought a partner to work with us. It was UI. They have the ability to mobilize strategic teams to work with us, people with the knowledge, to complement what Petrobras has. They have the ready-to-use IT-OT convergence model that we have interest in use. And this also delivered to us a draft of an IT-OT architecture, considering factors like cybersecurity standards and governance, best practice for governance. Finally, we have an integrated IT-OT model that we applied in one of our sectors that was a gas sector, but we are now trying to expand that. Cyber-resilient architecture that we can trust. I think that's the most important point. If we deliver products using this architecture, they must be stable, they must work, they must not hallucinate. And finally, this gave us a lot of information to work with our industrial data lake initiative. It's a separate initiative. Giving a spoiler, there will be a very interesting session tomorrow morning about this topic. But all this initiative gave us the governance that we need to give an impulse to this industrial data lake initiative that we have. Now I invite Flavio to talk a bit.
Thank you. Nice to be here. Thank you, Petrobras and ERC for the invitation. Let me change the slide. It's here. Okay. First of all, I'm also a chemical engineering, and I have a master degree in process system engineering. Yes, UI has chemical engineers too, and people that is working a lot with AI simulations and also convergence of IT-OT. In Brazil, we have a saying, I will say in Portuguese, then in English, que cachorro com dois donos morre de fome. Something like a dog with two masters die of starving. So before any work in convergence at IT-OT, we developed this approach. It's an UI approach to evaluate the IT-OT operating model at a single client in a single company. Because it's a question, who's taking care of AI at your company? It's IT, it's OT. You are already having a centralized team taking care of IT-OT. So that's the first question. And there is no right or wrong here. I believe that the only thing that is wrong is a lack of communication, a lack of process established. Because a lack of governance, a lack of process you allow, it will allow you to go, for example, the pilot or the prototype project, but to scale and to sustain and to get the results and to, for example, prove the budget that the C-level gave to your team, you will need an improved governance or ITOT model. So here, just a quick view. A more diversified is above, A and B, and a more centralized approach is D, D1, D2, and D3. I will jump C because it's a special case of Petrobras, and Petrobras has something to say here. But for example, in A, I would say it's more classical. We see more maybe 10, 15 years ago. I didn't say vintage, I did say classical, without any joking. It's normally what we are seeing. For example, you have people, you have tech infra in both sides. You have also process and projects in ITOT sides. But mainly the applications level 3 and level 4 are in the IT side. And the control and supervisions, APC, closed loops, and mainly the instrumentations are in the OT. B, you start to think the first steps of IT-OT convergence. You have the process and the governance being think together by IT-OT. Jumping C and moving to D1, D2, and D3, you start to see a single group, IT-OT guys working together. In Brazil, we have a lot of companies with a CIO, with a guy working next to him, taking care of the OT, and another guy taking care of IT, mainly infrastructure, SAP, and other solutions. And the way they organize itself can vary. For example, you can have a corporative IT-OT group, but still having an OT in the refineries, in the factories, taking care of special systems, specialized systems, and instrumentations. Or you can have only instrumentations, or finally you can have D3, everybody in the IT-OT group taking care of everything. Now, we were amazing, and it's a thing that I congratulate Petrobras. Petrobras create a new approach, an innovative approach. They create like an agile group. Let Haroldo explain better, but it's a group made of people from IT, business partner, OT, process specialists, that in an agile methodology covers the necessity of convergence. Please compliment me.
Yeah, just explaining, we created what we call the Center of Excellence on IIoT. This is a multidisciplinary group. It's not only guys from IT, only guys from OT, but actually what we have, we pick up some people that had an open mindset, a collaborative mindset, and experience on both subjects, and we joined everyone. So we define process together, we define technology together, we discuss technology together, and we are a guideline to the rest of the company. We still have our IT and OT areas, but they can give opinions, they can influence, and most important, whenever we need to discuss priorities, both IT and IT are represented and have equal weights, equal votes. So this was a factor of success for us because we don't have, obviously we fight a lot between us. It's obvious. We have different mindsets, as I said before, but we can converge and we can have a position that usually is signed off both from OT and IT. So we can work together and cover this bridge.
Thank you, Haroldo. And this group, the Center of Excellence, make UI life very easier, much more easier, sorry. We have our methodology. It's a 6 steps methodology. Is the circle on the right. And let me pass through the steps quickly, just to give you a broader view of what we are doing. First of all, the first step is to understanding the strategical goals of the company. It could be improve profit, reduce cost, improve safety in the operations, or it can be reduce gas emission. The second step, it's a deep dive on the AI, infrastructure governance, what we call as the situation. After that, on step 3, we define together with Petrobras where they would like to be, the type of integrations, the type of IIoT systems, how they're gonna use this data to, remember step 1, to fulfill the strategic goals. So in step 3, we define the to-be situation. On step 4, we look how would be our journey, the roadmap to achieve the to-be situation from the as-is situation. So here, we have several projects. In Petrobras, if I'm not mistaken, it was more than 23, around 25 projects to be developed, and we have to put that in a time frame based on cost benefits, also based on those projects that are infrastructure for the others. So in step 4, we define the roadmap, which project we will do first, and also the people involved, the responsibility matrix, who is in charge of what. For example, if the sensors fails, who will be there to solve the problem? If the interface fails, who will be there to solve the problem? Which type of KPIs will measure the results of this specific project? Okay. Step 5, how will be the transition? How we will do the implementation of the new project? Change management. Also, who will be together with the operator? We had in the previous session an operator from ExxonMobil here. Amazing. Congratulations, ExxonMobil, for bringing the guy, the gentleman. And finally, in step 6, we measure the results and we define the best way to sustain. And also, we bring all those results to the next step. So this is an ongoing project. We can start again step 1 and move forward. What are the results we are bringing to the table with this approach? Haroldo already mentioned, we are looking for improved operational synergy. For example, how the sustainability and ESG group in the corporative next to the IT group can use real data from the refineries, from the flare, from the compressors to measure really in a day basis, not in a monthly basis, the sustainability results. Then how is the governance management? For example, what is the best way to sustain, to contract, to hire companies to bring the results to the table? Who will be in charge of each initiative? And finally, cybersecurity resilience. This is very important because doing this methodology is possible to do a deep looking in the systems and, for example, discover which systems has obsolescence, which type of obsolescence can bring risks. For example, we are using solution A from a technology provider from the nearly 2000, and there is no more support from the technology provider, the risk of cyber attack increase. So this type of approach help us to discover this type of obsolescence. And finally, when we take a look in the architecture, the IT-OT convergence in terms of systems, of course, we have the industrial zone with the instrumentations and IIoT systems. We have also the control network. And then in the convergence zone, we have the SCADAs, the DCS systems, no matter the technology providers. And very interesting, we have here in the DMZ zone, we have mass pins. In the Petrobras case, we have the Aussie software, PI, taking data from refineries, gas thermal plants, and also from upstream FPSOs. And here we have industrial data lake figure. This industrial data lake is taking care of how the IIoT data from the sensors are bringing together for the DMZ area. Here we are using, for example, MQTT approach, and also the protocol we are using is LoRa, and which is the other one? It's LoRa and I will remember, I will talk later. Yes, and finally, we bring all this data to the cooperative zone in the industrial lake system, and that's the secret for tomorrow. But Haroldo is leading a project with Cognite and SLB in a data ops, in a contextualization, where he can use data from the industrial data lake, from PINS, mass, and preparing all this to other AI initiatives. So it's a very, very interesting architecture, but we will talk more about that in the presentation tomorrow. And finally, I will pass to Haroldo, next steps and the final of the presentation.
Well, as Flavio said, this methodology is incremental. It's something that we run several times. We run the first cycle during the year of 24, especially on the gas area of the company. And I believe we establish a solid foundation to run the next cycles, to evolve. So now we are planning to scale that to the other areas of the company, refining, upstream, renewables, so we can really expand this convergence of the company. And as I asked you before, remember that number of 40,000 employees that we have. This is part of a journey to make everyone employee enabled to work with data, and maybe in the future, even a potential data scientist, to make responsible AI and make Petrobras evolve on this topic. Okay, so thank you very much, and we hope to hear great questions on the panel after that.